Hey everybody, Ben here. Message for someone, and probably not gonna like it, but it is what it is. Anyway, thanks for clicking on this video. Thanks for showing up for yourself each and every day. So when I was right before I connected, I heard this song, "What if God was one of us?" Just a slob like one of us. Think on the bus, just trying to get home. And I opened my book where I take my notes, and there was this very small spider. First, I thought it was a tick. Thinking it'll tick, don't want to be bit by that, bad, bad, kill it kind of thing. But it was just a little spider. And we think of like entanglement, the web, and we'll get into that a bit. So then I heard, to seek wisdom in the unknown is a quest not for the weak. And then I just like a bunch of shit came through, but it was pretty much like having an open mind. Otherwise, we're going to reject true wisdom. If we go in with our mindset and how we think things are supposed to be or are, and or we reject things out of fear or that structure that we have built, we may miss something. So, having an open mind is necessary. Then I felt this like overwhelming feeling of like embarrassment, not knowing, maybe like if we're talking about something that isn't talked about a lot, imposter syndrome, as in like we know all these things, but we don't feel confident enough, I think is how it goes, confident enough to present it, or worthy enough to have this knowledge. And then what came through is your beliefs will be contradicting to others, and vice versa. When we get into that, if we're structured, let's just use spirituality versus religion. And that's going to be a huge contradiction, of course. You're wrong, kind of thing. Or let's just look at spirituality in the general, like light and dark. Light's the only thing, dark is horrible. Being okay with, in that heat to of getting rebuttals that are contradicting what you believe in, leading to this imposter syndrome. Even if you're just talking on a subject other people do talk about, and other people have their very strict mindset on how things are. Are you kidding me? There's tons of that in the spiritual community. Let alone if you just look at basic religion, how many off branches of certain religions are there? I think there's over 4,000 religions in the world. And they all say, I shouldn't say they all say, but I think the majority of them are pushing that mind's the only way, otherwise you go to hell or a bad place. How could this all loving God and source, whatever we want to call it, reject all these other people for being raised in a certain area and adopting this religion? If we think way back, before the internet and phones and mail and radio frequencies and all these things, that's all they would have known is what was in their area. So they're all going to this bad place because they couldn't get on a plane or a car or a bus or the internet to travel to another place to see a different viewpoint. No, I mean, that's something that is valid in my mind, and people could fight it, and that's fine. I don't, we'll get into that. So then what came through, it was just like a boatload of stuff coming through, but I put it together as the whole point is being open and drawing your own conclusions. But being open to evolve is a big thing. Change as you grow. Let's look at basic life. Okay, maybe we started out in a religion and then we neglected it, going through whatever age group that we were in. And then you start to go back to that religion, or maybe you go into spirituality and you start in that. And I'm not knocking love and light, but we need to talk about the reality and everything. Maybe we go into that and it's all beautiful and everything. And then we hate the dark and it's all negative and blah, blah, blah. And I'm not vouching for demons or anything like that. I'm just talking about, we're going to get into this. So then, we may start experiencing or learning certain things, but we evolve and now we see a different viewpoint. Now we adopt that, or maybe we take pieces from all these different viewpoints and we make our own view. When you really look at the spiritual community as a whole, everybody has different ways of seeing it. You know, it's this happens when you die, or these people protect and these people don't, or chosen this, chosen that. There's all these different avenues, and it's your own experience. It's what you're going to grab a hold of. The big thing is that it's all external of us that we're grabbing a hold of. We're not really embodying anything and presenting that self in our experience. We're utilizing a lot of external experiences or thoughts or beliefs to validate our emotion, our fear, and lack. So I did pull 4 tarot cards, and then I made these other cards, and I just wanted one, but 4 came out. So they all kind of tied in together. So our first card is Knight of Swords reversed. This is really going off of having like a strong emotional response to something that's contradicting our belief or our experience. We see this all throughout the world, society, and on personal levels, whether it is actually something religious or spiritual, or politics, sports, anything. Everything that we do validates our experience. When we're interacting with others, we are projecting out our experience, looking for people to jump on that bandwagon, to reinforce, to validate that, yeah, your experience, your thoughts are right. And when they're not right, if we are acting in this energy, we burst out in an emotional outburst. We can look at that online with nasty comments that you're wrong, or this or that, and you're a bad person, and excuse me, all types of things like that. Put it into your personal experience. Same things. I mean, there's chaos everywhere. Everyone's arguing and fighting in this way to validate their experience and to get someone to come on their side or to validate their experience. It's very simple like that. And when I'm not saying this is true, but it's just a thought that came to mind, is when we're doing this and we have to fight so hard for something external to validate our experience, that must be a very weak foundation inside of us. If we can't build it inside, if it doesn't exist inside of us, and we need to have it reinforced in the external, it's very false. It's not strong, is what I'm getting at. When it's built inside, nothing can bother it. Nothing's going to trigger it. Just as I said earlier, me, like, you guys can have, and I hope you do, have all your different beliefs and your personal, assumptions, however you want to say it, of how things are. Use your discernment and make it inside. Build your own. Like I said, we're going to see all these different puzzle pieces and different messages and different viewpoints, and we build it on our own and we make it inside. We don't have to pick one way. We don't have to be any certain way. We don't have to believe anything. And that's what this, I'm just going to use this card right now. That is the experience. That's the whole point. It's our experience. And it doesn't matter what we believe in. What it really comes down to is what we're doing inside, what we're building, and our emotions, which is energy in motion. Our next card is, oh boy, what is that? 7 of Pentacles, patience. Sorry. Now, if we're acting out of this energy, having patience is key. Could also be our hard work paying off. Learning to handle our emotions properly and utilizing them is going to bring us to this space of kind of what I was saying, that I'm okay with anyone else's belief. I'm not really here to argue it. If you ask me a question, I'll give it to you. I mean, I'll give you my opinion or my answer. And if you don't like it, that's fine. It doesn't matter. It's your experience, and really coming down to that. If we're in a place with a lot of people that are against it and it's bothering us, well, then they're not supposed to be there. If we have to fight to exist, we shouldn't have to be around those people. If you want to be gung-ho and very strong-willed in a certain perspective, Find people around you that like that perspective. Don't enforce it on others. That no one's gonna agree by being told or even by seeing it. They have to experience it. And we can use like horrible things in the world. It is, oh, it's not bothering me, whatever, I don't care. Or, everybody's view is going to be so much more heightened and drastic than it really is to make the others look bad, or, whatever. It's very childish behavior. And going to these extremes to try to get it's so extreme now. Like, I crack up every time when I look at the Weather Channel. This is how we get weather here, a lot of different ways. But the words, the headlines are so drastic for something so small, and everyone panics, and it's crazy, how strong this is. Do we have control over our emotions when we use words to? No, we don't have control of it. We're allowing that energy to control us, to create a reaction out of us. I'm gonna grab that. All right, I was getting that other card. So we had then the death card, transitions. Now, obviously people normally think of physical at times, but we have a lot of these cycles throughout our experience. How could we not? We're evolving. We could look at it in physical, leaving places, work, relationships, places we live. It could also be physical in the vessel, as and others in our experience. But we can also look at it as in, excuse me, personal mindsets, thought patterns, beliefs. If we are evolving, as the message in the very beginning came through, as in, be open to evolve and change as you grow. That's going to be a death cycle every time. We believe this, and now, okay, well, now I see something new. I'm moving forward, or I'm adapting, or I should say adopting this experience, this belief now, and I'm moving forward. With that, we had the Emperor. Discipline. An authority of our own energy and experience. Taking authority of it, not allowing the external to validate it anymore. When we, kind of what I was saying earlier, when we put all that energy into the external to validate it, it's built on false. It's not true to us. We need the external to validate it. We need the external to make it real. And that's no belief at all. When you hold something inside of you, nothing can shake it. We'll get into some of these other cards here. I don't know which one. I want the Mirror. We had the Mirror. And this kind of goes off, these beliefs. If I need the external to validate it, because it's so false, and I'm grasping on something to make it real inside of me, but I can't because I'm using the external, we're going to keep experiencing things that contradict it even more, because it's not even true in us. We're trying to make it true so much that we're going to have everything the opposite of it. We did have then the Light, and I'm not knocking it at all, but a big thing in the spiritual community is it's light against dark, and there is truth to that, with the idea that bad things are taking place. And again, I'm not vouching for these negative entities at all, and their games and torture and whatnot. But when we look at darkness, it's also our shadow, and that is a suppressed space. And there's a lot of knowledge in there, because what does that open? Healing, which then leads to control of our emotions, which is our energy and motion. And when we deem it as dark and don't go there and bad, dangerous, and all these things, we don't have control of our emotions. That's our energy. That's everything we got. And who has it? Control of that? The external. All these things coming in to direct our emotions somewhere. So of course it's going to be demonized as bad. And there's a lot of knowledge in there. And if we're open minded to what we could find in there, we may learn a lot that others can't. We can do that through analyzing everything. We can analyze so much and put the puzzle pieces together to come to a completely different understanding of anything and everything. But we can't when we have a closed mind and we're very strict in how things are or how things are supposed to be. We won't see anything because we have an emotion attached to it. And that emotion is normally fear of something. And again, I'm not knocking anyone's beliefs at all, but we're really looking at getting in control of our emotions. And how do we do that? With an open mind. And we can't do that when we have a rigid structure built around us for a belief, especially if it's built in the external, because that's built on falsehood as it is. I'll leave it there, guys. I wish you all the best and take care.